And I'm going to give you my top 10 best, favorite, most memorable, impactful scenes that I'm most fond of in The Chosen's history. I've seen a few people give lists of their favorite episodes. Oh, look, I've been impaled. Now,
this could fit.
There's a moment that this could have been in The Chosen. You never know if, like, I'm going to shake your hands and you're going to go, me too, we hashtag me too, you're great. This show is way better than I am, and that's a really cool feeling.
It was just a scene, one of hundreds they would eventually film. A man, alone by a fire, haunted by shame, confronted by a stranger who seemed to know everything about him. But when Dallas Jenkins watched the first rough cut of The Chosen's pilot, he didn't just see a Bible story come to life. He saw something deeper, something he hadn't expected.
My first opportunity to show that I am calm and that I am in control and that I know exactly what I'm doing and know what I want is that first rehearsal of the day.
And it would mark the moment that everything changed, not just for the show, not just for Dallas, but for millions of people around the world. Because what started as a small crowd-funded series was about to become a global movement of faith. And what's even more surprising, this wasn't his favorite scene. That one is still to come. How do you portray the Son of God? That's the question Dallas Jenkins wrestled with from the very beginning. Not just as a director, but as a believer. Because telling stories about Jesus isn't like making any other show.
That's starting to make some of the previous things you've seen of him make sense. Yes. I think we got too far anyway. Let's just get back here for it.
There's no room for cliches, no space for superficiality, and most of all, no way to truly capture his perfection. Dallas once admitted, "I knew we would get it wrong at times." And that fear, it wasn't about criticism, it was about reverence. Every scene he wrote, every shot he framed, came with the weight of eternity on his shoulders. Add to that the pressure of representing people's personal Jesus, the Jesus they've prayed to, cried to, trusted, and suddenly the camera becomes sacred ground. Jonathan Roumie, who plays Jesus, would sometimes go off set to pray before a scene. The atmosphere wasn't just cinematic, it was spiritual, tangible. And yet Dallas often found himself questioning, are we doing justice to the most important story ever told? That question haunted him, especially during one particular scene in season 1. It's easy to assume a director's favorite scenes are the big ones. The dramatic miracles, the massive crowd shots, the moments that make audiences cheer. But for Dallas Jenkins, his favorite scenes are quieter, slower, deeper. Each one holds a specific memory, not just of what happened in the story, but what happened behind the camera.
And I'm going to give you my top 10 best, favorite, most memorable, impactful scenes that I'm most fond of in The Chosen's history. I've seen a few people give lists of their favorite episodes. The team and I were talking and thought maybe it'd be interesting just to kind of go through what we love the most.
In this countdown of his 10 personal favorites, we're not just revisiting fan favorite moments. We're stepping into the mind of a storyteller in awe of the one he's portraying.
Here's my top 10, we'll just say favorite. So we'll start with number 10.
10. The Wedding at Cana, Season 1. The joy, the music, the unexpected humanity of Jesus as he dances, smiles, and celebrates. It wasn't just a miracle of wine, it was a miracle of connection. Dallas said, "This is where I saw Jesus enjoy people, not just teach them." 9. Nicodemus and Jesus, Season 1. 2 men, 1 rooftop, Nicodemus trembling, Jesus calm. The intimate late-night conversation about being born again. Dallas considers this one of the most theologically rich scenes ever captured on screen. 8. Mary Magdalene's redemption, pilot and episode. 1. You are mine. Those 3 words whispered by Jesus to a tormented Mary broke Dallas behind the monitor. "I wept," he admitted, not because of the performance, but because I believed it. 7. The Call of Matthew, Season 1. A tax collector, hated, shunned. Jesus walks past the crowds and says, "Follow me." The look in Matthew's eyes, confusion, hope, terror, captured something we all feel. Am I really worthy to be chosen? 6. The Sermon on the Mount Prep, Season 2. Not the sermon itself, but the preparation. Jesus going over notes, the disciples organizing the crowd. Dallas said, "We rarely think about the logistics of holiness." This grounded it. 5. The Healing at Bethesda, Season 2. Decades of suffering, a man forgotten by society. Jesus bends down, looks him in the eye, and says, "Do you want to be healed?" Jenkins called it the most visually painful scene because it reminded him how many people still feel unseen. Number 4. The Woman at the Well, Season 1, Finale. So much emotion, so much past pain. When Jesus tells her everything she's ever done and still offers her living water, Dallas said this scene captured why The Chosen even exists. 3. Jesus with the Children, Special Episode. A slower, simpler episode, but one that showed Jesus laughing, teaching, building. This is how I wish I had seen him growing up, Dallas reflected. 2. The Feeding of the 5,000, Season 3 Finale. A massive production, hundreds of extras, real food, real heat. But through it all, one thing stood out. The moment Jesus thanks the Father before multiplying the loaves. A gesture so simple, yet so divine. Number 1. The Crucifixion Vision, Season 3 Episode 3. It's a flash forward. A dark, emotional glimpse of what's to come. Jonathan Roumie's face, twisted in agony. The nails, the sky turning black. Dallas said, "This scene still haunts me." Not because of how we filmed it, but because I know what it cost him. Every one of these moments holds a piece of Dallas's heart, but there's one.
This is the most difficult thing I think I've ever done. It's the most difficult season. It's the most difficult role.
Season 2, Episode 3, A Quiet Moment. Jesus sits alone, late at night, outside the tent. His body is sore, his eyes heavy. The day's healings have taken their toll. One by one, the disciples return from their tasks, laughing, debating, relaxing, completely unaware of the weight Jesus has just carried for hours. This wasn't in the original plan. In fact, Dallas debated cutting it entirely. The schedule was tight, the light was fading, the crew was exhausted. And some on set even questioned whether this silent moment would translate well to screen. But something in his spirit told him, "Don't remove this." So they filmed it. And what followed became one of the most gut-wrenching, unspoken scenes in the series.
How am I going to get through it all? And how can I pray more? And how can I get closer to God in the meantime while I'm on this journey? And how do I stay close to Him once I'm no longer on the journey? So I think about all of that stuff at any given time. But you know, at the end of the day, if I'm not trusting Him, I'm not doing it right. So I've committed to just letting Him lead me, and hopefully not getting in my way, or more importantly, His way of what He has planned for me.
Jonathan Roumie dragging his feet, hardly speaking, physically embodying exhaustion. The disciples pause, shocked into silence. He nods to them gently and disappears into the tent. That's it. No words, no miracles, just humanity. Dallas said it wrecked him. Why? Because for the first time, he felt what it must have cost Jesus to heal, to carry, to love so endlessly. He almost didn't shoot that moment. And now it's one of the most talked about scenes in the entire series. There's something different about The Chosen. And it's not just the storytelling, it's what happens behind the scenes, when real faith meets real emotion. During the filming of Mary Magdalene's relapse in Season 2, Elizabeth Tabish, the actress who plays her, broke down in actual tears long after the cameras stopped rolling. She later shared, "I didn't feel like I was acting. I felt like I was confessing." Dallas Jenkins stood nearby, speechless. It wasn't just a good performance, it was a spiritual moment, captured on film. And then there was the scene of Peter, weeping after Jesus calms the storm. Actor Shahar Isaac asked for just one moment alone before the take. He walked off, closed his eyes, and when the camera rolled, tears streamed down his face without a word spoken. That shot made the final cut. Jonathan Roumie, too, doesn't take his role lightly. He fasts before big scenes. He prays before each shoot. And after one particularly draining day portraying Jesus healing crowds, he was seen standing alone behind the tent. Eyes closed, whispering, "Lord, give me your strength, not mine." It's moments like these that Dallas says he never planned. Because how could you plan for the Holy Spirit? What started as a script became surrender. And in that surrender, something divine showed up. But perhaps the most surprising part, these scenes didn't just change the actors. They began changing the world. Dallas Jenkins never imagined it. He hoped The Chosen would resonate. He prayed it would inspire. But what he didn't expect was the wave of testimonies. Not dozens, not hundreds, but thousands, pouring in from every corner of the globe. A young man in the Philippines watched the healing at Bethesda and messaged, "I was planning to end my life that night, but Jesus saw that man. And now I believe he sees me too." In Brazil, a woman who hadn't set foot in a church in over 20 years wrote, "When Jesus said, 'I came for the sick,' I broke. I was the sick one." A teenager in Germany binge-watched all of season 1 in one night. Why? Because after episode 3, she said she felt something she'd never felt before. Peace. And the stories go on. A soldier in Ukraine watching the Sermon on the Mount between bomb raids. A prisoner in Texas leading Bible study with fellow inmates using The Chosen as their guide. A woman in Iran secretly streaming the show through a VPN and weeping alone in her room. Dallas calls it the most humbling part of this journey. Because these aren't just episodes, they're encounters, not just entertainment, but ministry. And every single favorite scene he listed, it's someone's turning point, someone's wake-up call, someone's invitation back to Jesus. But as the world celebrates The Chosen, Dallas quietly wrestles with one deeper question. Dallas Jenkins has said it many times. "I'm not trying to replace Scripture. I'm just trying to get you to open it." And maybe that's the deeper message behind his favorite scenes. Not the lighting, not the performance, not even the miracle. But the moment you realize he sees you, every broken piece, every hidden shame, every part you've convinced yourself he wouldn't touch, he already knows. And he chooses you anyway. Why was the scene with Mary so powerful? Because many of us are Mary, battling demons no one else can see. Why did the Sermon on the Mount hit so hard? Because it wasn't just words. It was a call, a declaration that grace isn't earned, it's given. Why did Dallas include a scene of Jesus, exhausted and silent? Because we need to be reminded, even the Son of God carried our weight, and he still does. This isn't just a list of great moments in a TV show. It's a mirror, a reminder that Jesus is not distant. He's not cold. He's not unreachable. He's personal. He knows your name. He knows your story. And he's already written the next chapter. So now the question isn't, what's Dallas's favorite scene? The real question is, what will yours be? If this moved you, even just a little, don't scroll away. Like this video if one of these scenes reminded you of God's grace. Subscribe to join a community diving deeper into Jesus through stories. Share this with someone who needs a reminder they're not forgotten. And most of all, go read the real script. The gospel is still the greatest story ever told, and it's still being written in you.